recording.
Okay, just for the recording purposes, this is the student Muhammad Alum with the Professor Cihangir Ertaban. This is under the scope of an Agile management course at Uzin University with the sole purpose of discussing your professional experience in the Agile transformation field. So once again, welcome on board, Professor.
Thank you, Mohammed. Happy to be here.
All right, so before we start discussing your experience in the Agile transformation field, I want to roll back a little bit into your beginnings. So impressively, you've had a diverse background. You've worked in the process management, consultancy, eventually until you reached Agile coaching in your career. So my question here is could you share with us why you got into this career? Was there a specific experience, a pivotal moment in which led you to choose a career as an Agile coach?
Thank you for the question. That's correct. I started my career in a bank and then in an IT consultancy. I've been working close to IT as a management engineer, and I've been in the field of industrial engineering as well. Throughout my career, working as a consultant and a business analyst in IT, I experienced some of the challenging IT environments, including, as we call now, waterfall project management and the challenges of long-lasting project implementations. The organization I was working started an Agile Transformation, and I was part of a team which was going through the transformation. I liked it a lot.
Was it Turkcell?
Yeah, in Turkcell, we were going through an Agile transformation and seeing the principles, the difference of even managing a meeting, organizing a self-organized team. I was quite impressed by some of the principles and mindset, and it was an opportunity for me to see how leading tech teams have been working in a glimpse, even if there are definitely different practices. So due to this interest and my impressions after going through the Agile transformations, I said I like it. And then I became a coach for my team. Starting my team, I had a chance of experiencing an Agile transformation as a coach from the other side, first going through and then deploying the agility. Then I became a consultant, and I've been working as a consultant in terms of Agile transformations, organizational changes. So the spark was, yeah, I like it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So you just emphasized you have a wide range of experience in different industries. And as I have seen, you've worked in two different environments, in Turkey and in Germany. So as a professional Agile coach, so how do you adapt your Agile coaching to different industries? Is there the same practices and principles you apply to all industries? Or does it differ to meet each industry need?
That's correct. I've been working in Germany in my professional career, and I consider myself lucky as a consultant in Germany. I had a chance to work with teams in the UK, teams in Switzerland, teams in Asia, in addition to my company and work experience in Turkey. One of the things I would say is I think organizations and organizational culture is a bit more important than country, and we can imagine from the country-specific cultural elements. What I mean is I try not to have labels on organizations just because of the country. So what I have seen in Turkcell included some of the best practices, and in some of the other companies in Turkey that I lacked in some organizations global. But what's common for me and how I try to understand is every organization has a unique culture, and in the basics of Agile Manifesto, regardless of the different cultures of the countries, there are very valuable elements of values, mindset, principles, like shorter feedback intervals, delivering continuously, improving step by step using the Kaizen understanding, going back to lean manufacturing principles. So these are valuable, and starting from these principles and values, I think every organization has a take on it.
All right. So getting back to the agile transformation that you just mentioned at Turkcell, which was really like eye-catching for me. Like you've been like the responsible for the agile transformation at Turkcell, as I have understood, like which entailed the 20 teams. So before we discuss this transformation, what was the reason behind this initiative? I mean, like, what problems did the department at Turkcell face in order for them to decide that we should implement the agile methodologies?
Well, in general, I was responsible for the agile transformation of a unit, which consisted of over 20 teams. And there were other units in total, over 100 teams, over 150 teams in Turkcell IT. So it was quite significant. I think one of the trigger points was starting from 2013-14, many organizations have picked up, even late in the stage, about agility and agile transformations. And today, as I'm consulting some of the global organizations, I still see some organizations are in the beginning of their transformation, agility journey. Turkcell wanted to pick the pace, what the global trend is, change their way of working. It also, I think, has been a demand from employees in IT, like they want to work more and more in agile environments instead of classical environments. So I would say, as a result of the global trend, Turkcell also decided to try it out and see if it's going to work or not.
All right. So the teams that you were already working with, they wanted to adopt the agile methodologies, the agile practices, I mean.
It was a management decision before the teams, but in general, if you ask individuals, they would choose to work for organizations which are more agile, which are built also using DevOps practices, which are using state-of-the-art technology, rather than legacy systems, old ways of working, classical, hierarchical.
I got you. So you were the agile coach of 20 teams, right?
Yes, yes. With a consultant together, we were the two agile coaches of 20 teams.
All right. So like as I have understood, you have successfully implemented the agile mindset across these 20 teams in a time frame of 1 year. Am I right?
That's also correct. Yes. In a year's time, we had a chance to start from almost scratch and go up to 20 teams, which are using Scrum and scaled ways of working, which have changed their way of working, and with over 80% happy using this way of working.
Oh, since you started with scratch with 20 teams, like what were the key challenges you faced? So you have like 20 teams under your coaching and you're starting from zero. So like what was like the key challenges in implementing this agile mindset?
One of the biggest challenge we have observed, and I also observed this in my consulting profession, changing in individuals and in teams way of working, and also leadership's way of working, so which is an organizational piece altogether, um, needs to overcome resistance. That's not straightforward. So even if you're individually changing your behavior, you would need at least 21 days. So the biggest challenge was this. And of course, in general, we would say around 10-15% of individuals would keep resisting even after some time. So that's also what we face as a challenge. And I believe one of the principles of Agile Manifesto build projects around motivated individuals rather than choose and motivate them as a guiding principle, because that's what we did. We ask for volunteering teams to start with in this 1 year journey. And based on finding the first team, we were able to build up the rest. Because if we come to the end of the initial transformation of 20 teams, the teams who were left out started to feel, okay, we should also start this. So we didn't want in the beginning, we asked for time, but all the teams are doing, now we are missing something. We should also start changing our way of working.
I got you. So the 20 teams were basically made up of volunteers.
The first couple of, at least the order of the 20 teams were made up of volunteers, which team we would start implementing agility, and the volunteers picked up and picked up.
Actually, that's really good. Usually people like, we have an already built team, we just try to embrace the agile methodologies on this team. But what you have done, like you collected the already motivated members, you've created a team that already want to adopt this mindset. So like, I think that's that's really insightful.
Well, yeah, I believe this is also part of like also observing in different organizations and different companies. I think it's valuable to put effort in the people who are willing to drive change rather than trying to persuade the ones who are resisting, because
Exactly.
it creates a higher impact at the end if you work with people who are motivated, who are willing to change.
Exactly. That's what I wanted like to emphasize on.
Yeah.
Sure. So how, so like you've said like you've implemented this agile methodologies in 1 year. After this 1 year, how did you measure the success of your practices, of your coaching? How did you measure the success of this agile transformation of these 20 teams?
This is an ongoing debate. I would also even not consider like an implementation is ever complete. So we kicked off a journey around agile transformation, and at the end of a year, we could say all teams were using the practices that we discussed, we agreed, including Scrum and Kanban. But their journey would also continue and evolve by the time. And it's very hard to measure the success of agility, because it's also very hard to measure the success of a team, any team. Because if we consider delivery, what the teams are delivering, the success can only be tied to also business results. And this also has to be tied to environment, strategies, what's going on around the team as well. So it's an ongoing debate, and I don't think any organization has found a clear answer for the success of a team or an agile team or an agile journey. What was important for me and what we did and what I always try doing is one of the key differentiators or success metrics for agility will be asking the teams if they would like to choose to use this way of working, be it Scrum, Kanban, part of agility, or if they would like to go back. If most of the team members are saying, yes, you choose to work in this way, then it's successful.
All right. All right, I got you. Okay, so you have just mentioned that you were involved in both teams, Scrum and Kanban teams. So like, I don't want to like delve into this topic, but like in general, like, so you were the agile coach of two teams, Scrum and Kanban. How was like your experience?
Yeah.
Which one did you like better, or what was different, like the key differences as an agile coach?
Yeah.
I mean, which one was easier? Which one did you like better?
As also before being an agile coach in my team, in my software development team, we experienced Scrum and Kanban too. So we tried both of it throughout 1.5 year journey. So
At
I
Turkcell?
yes, in Turkcell. So we went through it, and then when I was coaching as an agile coach, I had the experience. I tried them both as well. I think the most common answer that comes from literature around this topic is if the teams are able to deliver value incrementally, so if they're not stuck in large legacy systems, as an example. They need to deliver value on a shorter increment, which is one of the basic patterns of Scrum. Then Scrum could be a better choice. Whereas in the teams that are having difficulty breaking down into smaller sprints or iterations, or they have some repetitive tasks, and also as David Anderson, the author of the modern IT Kanban as we know it, described in operations from his experience, then probably Kanban is a choice that has a bit more advantages.
All right. You advantages in terms of what you mean?
So if you're able to deliver value incrementally, always product a new thing, you would go with Scrum. So in each sprint, you can plan, deliver a kind of MVP, and then get feedback. But if you're having difficulty turning your work into smaller sprints, then Kanban, with ideas around reduce work in progress limits, reduce lead time, manage your demand accordingly, and do not change your way of working like a revolutionary base. With these approaches, Kanban is probably more promising.
I got you. Okay. So I've been reading about these like lately, and like it came to my attention like there is some controversy between the terms Agile Coach and Scrum Master. How would you describe like the difference? What is the difference between an Agile Coach and a Scrum Master?
So these are professions, let's call roles, that emerged in the last 20 years. Whereas software development profession, as an example, developer term has over 50 years and it's well established. So Agile Coach and Scrum Master roles are not that established as the role of developer. That's why organizations have different answers. So there is no one single answer. Some organizations do not have a Scrum Master role. They called Agile Coaches. Some organizations have Scrum Master roles. They don't have Agile Coaches. So it would vary based on organizations. A common theme is Scrum Masters are responsible for one or a couple of teams, whereas Agile Coaches are responsible for more than a couple of teams, so a bit larger span. But this is not an answer that's valid everywhere.
All right. But like I'm asking this because I've seen like the terms being used like simultaneously. Like some people think they are the same. Agile coach is the same as Scrum Master. That's why like it came to my attention.
Yeah,
But I
some
got you.
organizations have it in the same meaning, some don't. So there is no single answer.
All right. So you have mentioned this like in the beginning of our meeting about continuous improvement. And I've been across your LinkedIn profile. You have also like mentioned that you have a strong belief in continuous improvement and self-organizing teams. So like as a professional Agile coach, how do you foster a culture of continuous improvement among your Agile teams?
One of the topics is like critical topics, and what I observed, what I lived was around actually team and organizational culture. So I think these two elements are critical. They are more important than the meetings you have. They are more important than the process you're following. I believe I have worked in various teams, and in some teams, I felt the team was high performing, whereas in some others, members weren't uh, delivering and believing in what's gonna come out of the team. So a bit more apathy, less performing, people looking for other opportunities. So teams can make a lot of difference. And I think the organizational culture, building this in teams, are huge success criteria. And I think one of the ways of doing this is agility, serving this purpose, because the Scrum Master role, as an example, is a role that's more related to cultural topics, the overall collaboration and growth of the team, rather than implementing a method or a process.
All right. So like this continuous improvement, like among the individuals of agile teams, is basically enhanced by the organization culture, as I got you. Am I right?
Well, yeah, so I agree that the team culture is more important than a method or a process or a meeting that's happening. Team culture is more important. And agility and the Scrum Master role are good solution potential for improving the team's culture, lifting the team to a high performing state.
I got you. Okay. So in your current role at Accenture, am I spelling it right?
Yes, that's correct.
Accenture, really. So it's written that you focus on business agility and psychological safety.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, I've also like I've read one of your articles. It was about like the importance of psychological safety. So like, could you share some insights about the importance of psychological safety among the agile teams, among the individuals of an agile team? Well, why is it important? Why do you care about it as an agile coach?
Sure, I think it's a very good bridge on, like we were just mentioning, the importance of team culture, and psychological safety comes at a very good point. Psychological safety is a term that was coined in 1965 in some time, but Amy Edmondson's research in 1999 made it much more famous. And this term refers to feeling the safety and not feeling any concern or hesitation in case you're going to share your thoughts or challenges at a team setting, at a group setting. So if you're having hesitations and concerns, then you're not in an environment that's psychologically safe. And this is a key denominator of team performance, as shown by Google's Project Aristotle research, where they found that the most important factor of high-performing teams is psychological safety. So based on this, as a consultant, we have worked a lot on psychological safety topic. We have invested a lot because we understood that high-performing teams would need psychological safety, and we were also shooting for high-performing teams through agility. And we saw there are a lot of things in common. So we would say, if you're establishing psychological safety, many topics from agility, including self-organized teams, including continuous improvement, including delivery through frequent feedbacks and close relationship with the customer, are in the directions of psychological safety as well. So we identified this, and I still think psychological safety, establishing psychological safety in teams, would create great benefits on both individuals and also the team performance.
I got you. So like you're defining psychological safety like as the ability to express my opinions and to provide for my team without the fear of others' opinions.
Right. If you're in a psychologically safe environment, you wouldn't feel afraid to share your thoughts. But consider a moment where you are with a team, either at your professional or your study university life. You're within a group and you want to share something, but you keep yourself.
Yeah,
You, you
I got
think you think that you're not gonna be heard. You think that your voice, your thought is not gonna contribute to the point. You think that if you share, they're just gonna cross it over. They're gonna ignore. So these are elements where you keep yourself from sharing your thought. So that environment is not psychologically safe because as a team member, including yours, everyone's opinion counts. Everyone contributes. So if you feel that you're not heard or your voice is dominated somehow, intentionally or unintentionally, then you would keep your thought, which ends up in a group setting, less opinions, less thoughts. And this is also directly related to innovation, because especially if you're talking about innovation, the more opinions that contribute, the higher amount of new ideas, practical ideas, innovation will come out of that team.
I got you. So basically, this is like mainly enhanced by the organization's culture, right? So if there is no psychological safety between the team members, it's because of the poor work environment of the organization.
I would say there are two very strong influences. One of them is the organizational culture, for sure, but the other one is also team culture, because organizational culture is also not like a straight line among all teams. So some teams experience it differently. And of course, how this is possible, one of the most important answers are the management of the teams. So leadership is a strong influencer of organizational culture. Actually, it's the strongest one. So team leaders, unit leaders, managers have a key impact on the team's culture.
So across your experience, the working environments that you worked in, what was like the psychological safety? How could you evaluate it? Like, did you work like in environments which entailed like a good psychological safety?
Well, another good point. I had a chance to experience and work in teams or environments in teams which I didn't feel safe to contribute. Whereas I also felt in some teams I was feeling very psychologically safe. So seeing these different constellations, and it's not a 1 or 0 thing. It's a scale going from a lot of psychological safety to a lot of fear where you don't want to share anything at all. Experiencing this individually helps identify the teams I'm working with, I'm consulting at the moment, helps me directly recognize, okay, there is this challenge. I have observed this before. I have experienced this before, and changing this would help teams.
I got.
Mohammed, this is a moment where I need to cut this interview for now.
For sure.
If you need, definitely let's have a follow-up. But thank you for the questions. Appreciate
I'm
your
the one who appreciated.
research. Appreciate your previous research and the to-the-point question.
Thank you, Professor. This is much appreciated.
Great. Good to hear from you. Thank you.
Take care, Professor.